hub has opened up in the city, Sydney's first today. Would you like to see more of those opened up across the city?
Oh, look, I think, can I firstly thank all the GPs and pharmacists for being so innovative in the way they're offering vaccines. Those vaccines obviously go directly from the Commonwealth to our GP network, and I commend and congratulate GPs who have a very innovative approach to how they can vaccinate their communities. And all of us, all communities have a very strong connection. All local areas have a very strong connection to their local GPs. And I think GPs also understand how they can best provide that support to their own local patients. And I'm encouraged by the innovation, and I'm really pleased that the first one is occurring. And I suspect there'll be lots of other GPs and pharmacists which also present that flexible, innovative way to support families locally.
Restrictions to 10 kilometres for Victorian residents. Is that something you're considering and something you may do before 70%?
Oh, look, it's possible that if the health advice reflects that, we will, but we're really keen to make sure all of us move forward together. So if the health experts give us that advice, nothing would give me greater joy. I mean, it's often, most days when we come here, it's often difficult news we have to convey. Nothing gives me greater joy than when we're actually lifting restrictions or providing roadmaps and telling people what we can look forward to. And given what we've been through in the last few months, the journey to get to 70% double dose isn't very far away now. We're getting there. So I just want to encourage everybody to say that, the second that we get the green light to ease off on anything, we will. But just stick with us until we can make those announcements, because we need to stay the course. As you know, the modelling told us that we'd reach our peak sometime in mid-September. We're kind of around mid-September now, a bit over mid-September. We don't know whether the worst is behind us or not in terms of cases. So it's best for us to make sure we stay the course for a little bit longer until we know for sure. And then obviously health can reevaluate all of those settings.
Also, do you have an update on the situation?
Sorry, I'll just ask someone else and come back. Yep. Oh, look, this is something I really want to make clear. The GPs get their doses of vaccine straight from the federal government. They don't come through us. We get our doses from the federal government as well. So we can't control where the doses go to. So what happens is the federal government says to the GPs, here are your doses. It says to the pharmacists, here are your doses. It says to the state government, here are your doses. And what we need to do is manage how we can best target those communities we need to. So that's why I really commend GPs for doing that. Thousands of GPs have just stood up in New South Wales, and hundreds at least I should say, and if not thousands, have just been part of the success story of our vaccination rates. We couldn't have got to these rates without our GPs. GPs are so connected to their local communities. Often GPs also spend the time with every single patient to explain to them how important it is to get vaccinated, and we can't thank our GP network enough. And on top of that, the pharmacists have a similar role. They know their communities, their patients very well, having dealt with them over a long period of time, and that trust really helps with those local vaccines. But I just want to make very clear that we don't control where the vaccines go. What we do control is to make the most of what we're given and to work closely with GPs and pharmacists. When we have information on where the doses are going, it then allows us to target where we put our doses. And that's why we've been very successful in some Western and Southwestern communities. The vaccination rate was around 18 or 19% at the beginning of the outbreak. Now those same communities are having vaccination rates in the 80s or even 90% first dose. So that is the situation. We'd love to be able to control how we get the vaccines, when we get them, but that's all decided by the federal government. They provide those vaccines directly to the Commonwealth, directly to the pharmacists and directly to us. And of course we have a number of pop-up clinics, max vaccination centres, and also outreach services as well, whether it's through mobile vans or whether it's going to places of worship or community groups as well. So in combination, our vaccination strategy has resulted in the higher rates we're seeing.
How do you see that as helping the rollout? Will it allow more supply, allow more things like more hubs?
Well, the Moderna vaccine will be mainly administered through pharmacists. So I understand we're getting a little bit of the proportion, but most of it will go through pharmacists. And we're really encouraged because obviously 12 to 18-year-olds are only recommended to have either Moderna or Pfizer. So we're encouraged that many younger people will be able to access Moderna and Pfizer through their GPs and through their pharmacists, especially from next week with Moderna. So that's really encouraging because, as you know, the 12 to 15-year-olds aren't counted in our targets. So any vaccinations that we can administer to 12 to 15-year-olds are a bonus. It means we have greater coverage across our entire population.